What's happening, YouTube? Afro Cuban here, and I'm back with another episode of what my DC movie universe would be like. A series I've created where I hypothetically reboot the DC universe and break down in order what movies I will put out, and give you details on the plot and synopsis of each film. Okay, so getting right into it, next up we get a Batman sequel. Now, this movie will be set completely in Arkham Asylum. And the basis of this plot will be that there was an incident in Arkham where the inmates have overrun the asylum. They've apparently killed the warden and taken all of the doctors and all of the security guards hostage. That's just a basic breakdown. There's a lot more going on that we'll get to later. Now, to start it off, in the first act, we start off with the death of the Graysons. They're a family of high-flying performers at a local carnival. The father, Richard Grayson, he owns a loan shark and never pays him back. So the loan shark sends his enforcer, Victor Zsasz, to send a message. So Zsasz, he sabotages the strings that's meant to hold up the performers. The Graysons all fall to their deaths, except for their son, Dick, who gets saved at the last minute by the police captain, Jim Gordon. Gordon, who's at the carnival with his daughter on his day off, witnesses the rope snap. He sees the Graysons all fall and die, but he has a chance to rescue the son, so he swoops in at the last second and saves Dick. Zsasz is apprehended shortly after. Dick is fueled with so much rage and vows revenge. Shortly after, Dick gets taken to a group home for young boys. It's owned and funded by Bruce Wayne. But Dick doesn't want to be a part of the system. He figures he'd be better off on his own and eventually runs away. Now, getting into the second act, we fast forward about 6 months and we cut to Batman. He's not yet in his prime. He's still young. He's only been Batman for about 3 years. So he's out doing his Batman thing, terrorizing and beating up criminals in the middle of the night. But then he gets a call from Alfred. There's breaking news on the TV. Arkham Asylum has been overrun. The inmates have taken hostages and sealed off all entrances. So now Batman must find a way to get into Arkham and save the employees and restore order. The cops still don't trust Batman. Most of them don't even know he exists or still think he's a myth, including Captain Gordon. So, as Gordon readies his squad to raid the asylum, they see a black jet hovering above, and out comes Batman. He just swoops down and lands on the roof, but then he disappears into the fog and the cops lose sight of him. So, Batman knows he'll be up against some of Gotham's most dangerous and deranged supercriminals. So now he's wearing a more tactical suit, a dark gray and black suit with armored padding and straps. Now, this is where we get a couple of cool scenes where Batman is taking on 10 to 15 inmates all at once. We even get to see Batman take on some of the more known villains like Two-Face and Bane, because when the inmates got free, Two-Face rounded up his own crew and took over the B-Wing. Bane broke into the evidence lab to steal his Venom back and took over the C-Wing, but eventually Batman defeats them both. Meanwhile, we cut back to Dick Grayson, who's been masquerading as a vigilante for the past couple weeks. He also breaks into Arkham, wearing a red hoodie and a green ski mask. But his intentions are different. He's there to get his revenge on Zsasz. He runs into a couple of inmates who try to attack him, but Dick just uses his acrobatic skills to counter and avoid any attacks. Dick finally catches up to Zsasz. They fight, but Dick gets the better of him and pulls off his ski mask so Zsasz can remember his face. Zsasz, being the maniac that he is, he shows Dick his self-inflicted scars and tells Dick that he has one for each person he's ever killed. And then Zsasz leans over to show Dick two fresh scars on the back of his neck. He then looks up and says, "See, your mommy and daddy are in a special place." A rageful Dick grabs a knife and puts it to Zsasz's throat. Dick then says, "This will be your final scar, my special place." And just then, a Batarang comes flying out of nowhere and knocks Zsasz unconscious. Batman then grabs Dick by the arm and lifts him up and slaps the knife out of his hand. Batman then gets a better look at Dick and recognizes him. He's the young boy whose parents were killed and then ran away from the group home. And at that moment, Dick twists Batman's arm and flips over him. They get into a quick scuffle. Dick tries to use his acrobatic skills, but it doesn't work. Batman is too skilled and too advanced, so he overpowers Dick. He pins Dick to the floor and gives him a lecture on vengeance and revenge. And at that moment, all of Dick's emotions comes pouring out. He breaks down into tears. Batman picks him up and consoles him, and then the screen cuts to black. Now we get into the third act. A few hours have passed, and Batman and his young vigilante partner are still in Arkham, taking on the inmates and rescuing any hostages they can find. And at that moment, the police finally get inside. They see Batman and immediately open fire. Batman then dives on top of Dick to protect him from the bullets. And you hear Gordon scream, "Hold your fire!" It's a dark hallway, and plus all of the smoke from the gunfire makes it very hard to see. So Batman picks Dick up and they disappear into the dark. Now Batman is wearing armored padding, but one of the bullets still got through and hit him on the side of his stomach. So Batman and his young partner keep pushing forward, and they finally get to the warden's main office and discover it was the Joker who was behind everything. Now, Batman and the Joker have never met, but Batman has heard the stories about the deranged clown who kills and causes so much chaos simply because to him, life is nothing but a joke. So, Batman, who's not at 100%, tries to confront the Joker, but then realizes that the office is rigged with explosives, and he also has two hostages, one of whom happens to be the warden, who's been alive this whole time. The other hostage is a young female doctor. They're both strapped to a timer bomb, and Joker tries to use this to his advantage to escape. Batman rushes over to save the warden. Dick rushes over to save the doctor. And as Batman unties the warden and pulls the tape from his mouth, you hear the warden yell, "Wait, it's a trap. She's one of them." And at that moment, the female doctor starts to giggle. She then jumps up and kicks Dick across the room, knocking him out. And now, with only seconds left on the timer, Batman tries to carry the warden and an unconscious Dick to safety. But when the timer reaches 0, there's no explosion. Only party confetti. The confetti shoots out everywhere, and then the window implodes, and Joker and the Doctor laugh as they use the distraction to escape and parachute from the building. Now the cops are still in the asylum, rounding up all of the hostages and suspects. They finally get to the warden's office. They throw smoke bombs and burst through the door. Batman and Dick use this to their advantage to escape as well. So now the asylum is finally under control. The cops are talking to the hostages and taking statements. All of the doctors and employees say Batman was the one that saved them. And as the warden is giving his statement, he explains that the Joker's accomplice was a young doctor by the name of Harleen Quinzel. She was a psychiatrist assigned to the Joker. She ended up falling in love with him and helped him stage the whole thing so that they can escape together. Now we cut back to Batman and his young vigilante partner. They're in a nearby alley attempting to leave, but as Batman calls for the Batjet, they're approached by a mysterious woman in the shadows. It's Amanda Waller, a security defense contractor for the government. She tells Batman she's been keeping tabs on him and she wants him to lead a team that she's been putting together. Batman obviously declines. Amanda Waller just smirks and says, "I'll be in touch, Mr. Wayne." Dick then looks up in confusion and says, "Mr. Wayne?" Batman doesn't say anything. He just stands there with a furious look in his eyes. And as the Batjet finally approaches, they grapple gun into it and fly off. Now we fast forward a few more weeks where we get an end scene of Jim Gordon, who's now been named the commissioner, standing on the roof of the GCPD smoking a cigar. He turns around and gets startled by Batman, who's standing on the ledge behind him. They talk for a while, and Gordon explains that Joker is still loose and causing havoc all over the city. He also says that they need a better way of contacting each other because there are super criminals showing up all over the city that even the police can't contain. Gordon then turns his head to light his cigar, and then he says, "You know, we're working on finding a way to signal you." And as his head is turned, you then hear Batman say, "This is a war for the soul of Gotham, but we got it covered." Gordon responds, "We?" And as he looks up, Batman is gone. We then get an ending montage of Batman and his young vigilante partner jumping from the rooftops. Dick is now wearing his classic Robin suit, and we cut to black. Alright, guys, so that would conclude my Batman sequel, otherwise known as Part 4 of what my DC movie universe would be like. If you sat through and watched the entire thing, I commend you and I thank you. And I can't wait to get started on Part 5. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.